Yo, it's Truce, and this is the Goo Ball launch tutorial. There's a ton of ways to do this, and I'll show you all of that plus the best, quickest, and most consistent ways. But to put it simply, cause an explosion near or under detached goo while on it or mantling it. To make detached goo, you need a goo barrel. One way to do this is to throw it and then shoot or explode it in midair, which I'll call a goo clump. If you're using a melee weapon or something that won't let you do this, you can quick melee it above your head. I recommend at least crouching once it breaks because sometimes you end up stuck in it and then the whole goo blob breaks, or sometimes just one or two goo blobs break, and this can make it not work as consistently. Another way is to throw the goo barrel at props, doors, cash boxes, cash out stations, or trophies. This way gives you what I'll call flat goo as opposed to a goo clump. Goo nades don't work because they bounce off of things that allow goo to be detached. I usually like making a single goo ball though, so I stand about the distance of one goo blob away and get myself stuck in it. This will break the goo piece you're stuck in and the ones behind it, leaving you with just a single goo ball. Until you try it, this may sound a bit difficult, but I honestly get it 99% of the time. I prefer using the MGL for this because it doesn't require me to use any gadgets or need any other barrels to launch it. I think the easiest way to do this with the MGL is to stand behind it, then shoot under and behind it, then mantle the goo after you shoot. This also works with the CL40, but since that explodes on impact, it's a bit trickier with the timing and you do more self-damage than the MGL. Before I get into the gadgets that work, I want to mention using barrels. Every single one of them can launch detached goo, and I think if you have the option, you're better off using these than a gadget so that you're not down any equipment once you're in the fight. I find it to be easier as well. But with the barrels, I'd say smoke is the best since it won't affect you in any way. Glitch is the next best because the worst that can happen is you're glitched, which doesn't do damage. Goo also won't damage you obviously, but the launch is way more random than controlled and it's not easy to do. I actually discovered this with goo back in June, but goo physics has changed since then, so now I'm doing it this way with goo, gas, and explosive barrels. I'm mantling to stay on longer than if you were to just stand on it when you explode them. So now for gadgets. The gadgets that work are on screen right now. For launching from gadgets, the goo ball is the worst option, so do a goo blob or a flat goo. All of the gadgets that work pretty much launch you the same height and distance. You don't want to attach it or have it land on the goo, instead throw it into these crevices. But that's all for this video. I have more movement techs I'll post soon, so make sure to subscribe if you want to see those. And if you haven't seen my last video, I posted new lock bolt and turret movement techs I found that are pretty fun as well. Anyways, thanks for watching. See you next time.